Hello everyone and welcome to 3.7 Vertical Asymptotes. Get my things where I want it. Okay, so in this example, we're going to look at just the vertical asymptotes. Now you also have to do the horizontal asymptotes, but we're just going to focus on the vertical here this morning. Playing a game of finding the vertical asymptotes simply means figuring out what makes this bottom here equal to 0. And you can see that x minus 3, there is a number that I can put in there to make that equal to 0, and it's, of course, 3. If I put 3 in the bottom, 3 minus 3 on the bottom would make that 2 over 0, which is undefined. When that happens, you have something called a vertical asymptote. So let's sketch a picture of this graph. Over here at 3, 1, 2, 3. So there's my 3, and I'm going to have this thing. It's like an imaginary vertical dotted line, and that equation of that red dotted line is, of course, x equals 3, because vertical lines start with x equals a number like that. We've already talked about that a lot. When you graph this, I'm going to pause it and I want you to graph it on your calculator. I'll be right back. All right, so this graph is going to come in something like this and come down to this fence here and never cross it. It is asymptotic. It never crosses that red fence there, and we'll go like this. Okay, so it splits right there at that undefined point of -3. That is called a vertical asymptote. Let's look at another example. All right. In this example, we have, I'm not sure why that has that circle there, but that's okay. Let me rewrite this. F of x equals 2 over x squared minus x minus 2. If we graph this, this is just a big fraction here. If we graph this, we're going to have two asymptotes, two vertical asymptotes. Let me show you why before we even hit the buttons, though. We remember, I'm sure you're all completely brilliant at factoring trinomials into binomials. So if we take x squared minus x minus 2 and factor this into two binomials, it's kind of like reverse foiling. You would have an x here and an x here, a minus 2 and a plus 1. And we remember this from Algebra 2, because if you FOIL this, you will wind up with this. So if we FOIL this right here, you will come back up with this. This is called factoring a trinomial into two binomials. It is a hugely important skill. So this would become x minus 2, x plus 1. Now, when you factor it, what it does for you is it allows you to figure out the vertical asymptotes really easy. For example, what number can I put in for this x right here to make that equal to 0? Well, that is 2. So if I put 2 in right there, that would make that equal to 0. What number could I put in for this x to make that equal to 0? This parenthesis right here equal to 0. And I think you can see that that's -1. So I'm going to have two vertical asymptotes at 2 and -1. So I'm going to have my vertical asymptotes. I'll do those in red each time I do them, coming down like this. Okay, so you can find these things without the calculator. Now go ahead and take your calculator and graph it, and I'll be right back. Okay, now graphing this, it's going to come up like this green line here. It's going to do this business here, becoming infinitely close but never touching the red lines, and also coming here and coming ever so close to the x-axis for a very good reason that we'll talk about in just a minute. But these are vertical asymptotes. So you're playing a game of figuring out what makes this bottom undefined. In other words, what makes it 0 on the bottom. Vertical asymptotes. Have a good one.